I drove 9 hours through a blizzard, nearly losing my life, to surprise my wife, and what I heard when I walked into the house was, "I wish he'd crash his car and die. I'd get the insurance money." They laughed. I stood there, soaked and freezing, holding a birthday cake, and I knew this marriage had just died in the most literal sense. My name is Ethan Walker, 36, living in a small town near Montpelier, Vermont. I'm a software engineer for a telecom company. My wife, Lauren, 34, is a freelance interior designer. We'd been married for 7 years. The early years were beautiful, peaceful, like any couple still buzzing from the honeymoon phase. But in recent months, I'd felt a growing distance between us, and I told myself it was just work, stress, or the cold Vermont winter. Lauren has a sister, Sabrina, who lives in Boston. They're close, the kind of perfect pair you see on Instagram, always posting about spa days, fancy brunches, or posing with oversized sunglasses at artsy coffee shops. I never really liked Sabrina, not because she was awful, but because whenever Lauren hung out with her, she came back, different, colder, more judgmental. She'd start comparing things. Our house was too small, our car too old, and me, too content. Still, I wanted to do something special for Lauren this Christmas. She said she'd be spending the holidays in Boston with Sabrina. I pretended I couldn't go because of a big project deadline, but in truth, I'd taken time off. My plan was to drive 9 hours through a snowstorm to surprise her on Christmas Eve, holding her favorite cake from Penny's Bakery near our house. I'd even packed the dress she loved, high heels, and made a reservation at a French restaurant she'd once mentioned. On the morning of the 24th, I hit the road at 6 a.m. Snow blanketed everything. A storm warning had been issued the night before, but I was stubborn. Each mile felt like an hour. Visibility was near zero, the windshield kept icing over, and I stopped 3 times for coffee, to scrape the glass, and to breathe. I couldn't stop thinking about Lauren's face when she'd see me. I imagined her smile, her squeal of joy, the way she'd throw her arms around my neck like she used to during smaller surprises. Around 5 p.m., I reached Sabrina's neighborhood. Snow buried the streets, so I parked a block away and trudged through ankle-deep drifts, clutching the cake box. My hands were numb, my coat soaked. But I was thrilled, nervous, excited. The front door was unlocked. I stepped inside, ready to call out, but then I heard Lauren's voice from the kitchen. "He's probably still at work," she said. Another voice, Sabrina, giggled, sitting there glued to his computer, playing games like always. Lauren chimed in. "As long as he's not here ruining our holiday, that's good enough." I froze in the hallway. My hands trembled around the cake box. It wasn't the cold. It was her tone, not playful, but dripping with disdain. "God, imagine," Lauren laughed, "if he showed up at the restaurant tonight, telling the same old stories everyone's heard a million times, then making that puppy dog face when I want to go out without him." Sabrina cackled. "At least he's not here now." And then, "God, I wish he'd crash his car," Lauren blurted, her voice thick with exasperation. "The insurance money wouldn't hurt." The air turned to ice. I nearly dropped the cake. For a moment, I thought I'd misheard. But then Sabrina laughed. Or at least a few months of peace. They both laughed like I was a joke worth erasing. I walked into the kitchen. No knock. No words. They froze. Lauren went pale. Sabrina's jaw dropped. I set the cake on the counter, gently, then turned and walked out, my boots sinking into the snow like I was sleepwalking. I left that house like a ghost. Cold. Silent. Empty. No one called after me. No footsteps chased me. Just the wind howling through the alley and my boots crunching the snow, like I was stepping on the shattered remains of my trust. When I reached my car, my hands shook so badly I couldn't get the key in the ignition. I sat there, staring at the windshield. I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't rage. Just a hollow void spreading through my chest. My phone buzzed relentlessly. 10 missed calls. 15 texts. All from Lauren. I didn't read them. Didn't turn it off either. Just tossed it onto the passenger seat and stared at the snow piling up, burying the world. After 20 minutes of sitting motionless, I drove to a rundown motel 2 miles away. $85 a night. The room reeked of mildew and stale cigarettes. I didn't care. Locked the door. Turned off my phone. Lay on my back, staring at the ceiling until dawn. The next morning, when I powered my phone on, I had 46 texts and 22 missed calls. I didn't read them. I sent one text to Derek, my best friend from college. It's over with, Lauren. Can I crash at your place for a bit? Derek replied in 2 minutes. Doors open. Beers in the fridge. Come. I drove 9 hours back to Vermont, through that white tunnel of snow again. But this time, I didn't imagine Lauren's smile. I just saw the moment she laughed about me crashing and dying for insurance money. And I knew I couldn't stay in that house a second longer. Lauren wasn't home when I got back. I figured she was still in Boston or on her way. I packed quickly, only what was mine. I took all my clothes, important documents, my laptop and hard drive with all our photos, the old guitar I'd play on winter nights, my dad's watch. I left everything we'd bought together. No dining table, no sofa, no bedside lamp. I erased myself from that house, like I'd never existed in this marriage. Before leaving, I turned the thermostat down to 58 degrees. Lauren hates the cold. Unscrewed the fridge light bulb. Changed the Wi-Fi password. Not out of spite, but to make her feel my absence, piece by piece. No yelling. No status updates. Silence was my loudest scream. I got to Derek's that evening. He didn't ask questions. Just cracked open a beer and sat with me in silence. We stayed like that for 2 hours, not a word. Lauren started calling my office, emailing, texting my friends, even contacting my boss, claiming a family emergency. I didn't respond. I moved money from our joint account to a new one, leaving just enough for the month's rent and utilities. I froze our shared credit card and changed every password. It was cold, calculated, precise. But inside, I was a man free-falling with nothing to grab onto. I kept hearing it. God, I wish he'd crash his car and I'd get the insurance money. That sentence looped in my head like a broken record. Lauren's text shifted to panic. Soft pleas, then rants, then threats to call the police, then begging again. It was just a joke you weren't supposed to hear. I'd had a few drinks. It's just sister talk. If you don't call back, I'll report you missing. Do you realize you're throwing away 7 years over a stupid joke? I stopped reading. I blocked her number. For the first time, I realized the worst pain isn't betrayal. It's knowing the betrayer doesn't even feel guilty. That night, I stood at Derek's window, staring at the snow. My heart was pitch black, like the dead of night. I knew I'd just stepped into a new chapter, one with no room for cheap forgiveness or blind trust. On the 3rd day since I vanished, Lauren showed up at my office. I wasn't there. I'd requested remote work for personal reasons. She left a scribbled note. We need to talk. I can't sleep. The house is cold and empty. You're blowing this out of proportion, Ethan. I crumpled it, tossed it in the trash without finishing the last line. That evening, I met Milton, a financial advisor Derek recommended, at a small coffee shop. He laid it out. $17,000 Lauren spent on online shopping last year. A credit card I didn't know about, $3,200 in debt. Random cash withdrawals, $300 to $500, no clear purpose. I wasn't shocked. I was too numb for surprises. Milton asked, "What's next?" My voice was dry as gravel. Separate everything. She doesn't touch another cent of mine. I filed for financial separation, not divorce yet, but a first warning. I had a lawyer send it to our house during business hours, ensuring Lauren would receive it at her workplace. That night, a neighbor, Lydia, texted, "Lauren's been crying on the porch for 2 hours, says she can't get in. Did you change the garage code?" I stared at the message. Part of me felt a twinge of guilt, but the bigger part, nothing at all. Not because I'm heartless, because she'd killed the part of me that could still care. 3 days later, I ran into Sabrina at the grocery store, standing by the frozen pizza aisle. She saw me and froze, like she'd seen a ghost. "Ethan, Lauren's worried sick. You can't keep doing this." I didn't answer. She stammered, still with that I know better tone. "It was just a joke. Sister stuff. No one means that kind of thing." I locked eyes with her. My voice was low, sharp as a blade. "Do you have a boyfriend, Sabrina?" Yeah. "Ever tell your friends?" God, I wish he'd crash and die so I could get the insurance money. She went silent. I pressed. "If you did, and he heard it, would you have the guts to stand here right now?" Her face flushed. She mumbled, "You're misunderstanding. Lauren was just stressed. Work's been tough." I smirked. Since when does stress turn someone into a monster? I turned and left, abandoning my card in the aisle, walking away like the conversation never happened. That night, Lauren left a voicemail. Her voice was hoarse, trembling. I know I messed up. I didn't mean it. This house isn't a home without you. I've searched every drawer for something you left behind, but it's all gone. Ethan, I can't sleep. I listened to the end. The first real apology in 10 days. But it didn't matter anymore. Because what she broke wasn't just a sentence. It was trust, the kind that, once shattered, can't be glued back together. The next morning, I posted one photo on Facebook. No caption, no status, just a half-cut birthday cake on a cold kitchen counter. 2 hours later, my phone blew up. Friends called. Acquaintances texted. Lauren called 11 times straight. I answered no one. I didn't need to say anything. Silence was my rebellion. Day 17 since Christmas Eve. My phone rang. Caller ID, Lauren. I didn't pick up. A minute later, Derek texted. She's at the door, crying, asking if you're here. What do I do? I stared at the message for a long time, then typed one word. Let her in. Derek replied, sure. I didn't answer. I walked out of my room to the living room, where Lauren stood, shivering, drenched from the early spring rain. Her hair was a mess. Dark circles framed her eyes. Her hands shook when she saw me. But I didn't stand. I sat on the couch, holding a cold coffee mug, my eyes blank. No anger, no forgiveness, no emotion. Lauren stepped forward, her voice hoarse. Are you really sending me separation papers? I nodded. I see ya. Lawyers mailing them tomorrow. She swallowed hard. Ethan, you can't just disappear like this. At least let me explain. I looked her dead in the eyes. Explain what? That you didn't really wish I'd crash and die? That it was just a cute sisterly joke? Her eyes welled up. I told you. I'd had a few drinks. I was stressed from work. I didn't mean it. I'd never want anything to happen to you. I set the mug down, pulled my phone from my jacket, played a file from my voice memo app. Her voice filled the room. Cold, clear, unmistakable. God, I wish he'd crash his car. I'd get the insurance money. Or at least a few months of peace. Asterisk, laughter. Loud. Real. Asterisk. Lauren's face drained of color. Her lips trembled. That's not fair. You can't record me like that. You were spying. I gave a bitter laugh. I wasn't. I was using a voice-to-text app to plan your Christmas gift ideas while driving. Forgot to turn it off when I walked in. And thank God, because it showed me who you really are. She lunged for the phone. I stepped back, holding it up. Don't. If you want to deny it, I'm happy to send this to the lawyer. She collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Not the regretful kind of crying. The kind you do when you're caught. When you're scared of losing. Ethan, you have to believe me. I never cheated. I never did anything else to hurt you except that stupid comment. I stayed silent for a moment, then asked, my voice flat as a news report. If I hadn't overheard, would you ever have told me? She didn't answer. Her silence answered for her. Derek walked in, knocking loudly to break the tension. The air was thick. He glanced at Lauren, then at me. Need me to drive her home? Lauren shot up. No. I'll go. I don't want to be the villain wife like this. I'm not that person. Ethan, please don't do this. I stood, my face still stone. I'm not divorcing yet. Just protecting myself. Stop looking for me. It's through the lawyer now. She walked to the door, her wet shoes squeaking on the wood floor. Before leaving, she turned and whispered, like talking to herself. How did it come to this? I didn't answer. Just stood there, watching the back of the woman I once loved more than myself. With an emptiness like love had never existed. 3 days after that tense encounter, I noticed friends acting differently. Some texted, half friendly, half probing. Heard you guys just had a little fight. Why make it a big deal? Lauren said you'd been distant for months. One message stopped me cold. Hope you're not so depressed you'd ghost her, because Lauren's really worried. She said you've been saying some dark stuff. She was twisting the story, painting herself as the victim. I didn't reply to anyone. I didn't need to explain. I didn't need to justify. I needed time. And silence. But I wasn't alone. 2 days later, Jillian, Lauren's best friend, texted. Ethan, I heard the whole recording. She played it to defend herself. But I was shocked. I didn't expect Lauren to say that with such coldness. I can't defend her. Later, she added, you're not crazy. Not overreacting. You're doing the right thing. For the first time in over 2 weeks, I sank to the floor and let out a deep breath. Not relief. But at least someone else could see right from wrong. Lauren's tactics grew murkier. She started posting vague stories. When a man disappears and blames you, Remember, he planned it long ago. Being abandoned doesn't hurt as much as being misunderstood. But I'm still standing. She tagged family, friends. Some clueless people comforted her. Others stayed quiet. But some started asking questions. Day 25 since Christmas Eve, I got a strange letter in my mailbox. No sender. I opened it. A handwritten note from Sabrina. She confessed. They often talk trash about people behind their backs. Lauren regularly criticized me to her. I was too timid, too slow, no ambition. The insurance comment wasn't a one-off joke. It was built-up contempt. I'm not asking forgiveness. Just saying, Ethan, you're not crazy. And I'm ashamed I laughed that day. I folded the letter. Didn't reply, but I felt a small victory. Meanwhile, Lauren began to feel the noose of her own lies tightening. Jillian texted again. She cut me off, probably because I didn't take her side. But Ethan, she needs boundaries. She's always lived thinking she'd be forgiven anything. And now, maybe for the first time, she's facing real consequences. That night, I sat alone, scrolling through old photos. Some stung. Lauren leaning into me at Yosemite. Her hugging me at our first Christmas party together, 5 years ago. A short video where she filmed me napping on the couch, giggling. Here's my exhausted husband. I didn't delete them. I didn't cry. I just felt empty to my core. You might wonder, why keep old photos if you want to move on? Because I want to remember I was sincere. And I want her to remember what she lost. Day 30 since Christmas Eve, I got an email from Lauren. We need to meet. Just once. Somewhere neutral. I'm not begging you to come back, just to say what needs saying. I read it over and over. Didn't reply right away. But that night, I fell asleep with Lauren lingering in my mind, like an itchy scar that won't fade. The next morning, I texted back. Maple and Oak Cafe. 3 p.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. I arrived 15 minutes early. Black coffee, corner table by the window. The place was warm, but my heart was January cold. Lauren walked in at exactly 3. Not late. Not rushed. No drama. Her hair was neatly tied back. Gray turtleneck sweater. No heavy makeup. She looked at me, raw, with the eyes of someone walking into a morgue to claim their own body. Thanks for coming, she said softly. I didn't nod. Didn't speak. Just waited. She set a yellow notebook on the table, pages crammed with handwriting. I wrote down everything I need to say, because I know if I just talk, you won't believe me. I pushed the notebook aside, my eyes like steel. Then say it. Face to face. No more acting. Lauren clenched her hands, took a deep breath, and began, for the first time, dropping the victim act, her voice trembling but real. I changed. Not after you left. Long before. I stopped seeing you as my husband, my partner, my equal. I saw you as an obstacle, a stagnation, an anchor holding me back. I didn't interrupt, just stared, like I could see her soul through every word. I know. I got bitter. I compared. I judged. I talked behind your back. And that day, at Sabrina's, that wasn't a joke. It was the ugly feelings I'd let fester for too long. I just never thought you'd hear it. I cut in. So if I hadn't heard, you'd have kept living that double life? She went quiet, then nodded, honest to a brutal degree. But I preferred that brutality over empty apologies. She told me about the pressure from her rich friends, the glamorous life she chased but couldn't catch, about her boredom when she saw me content with an ordinary life, about the time she secretly checked my phone to see if someone as calm as you was hiding something, and found nothing. I was disappointed that you had nothing to disappoint me with. That line made me look up. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it hurt, and because it was true. Ethan, she went on, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just want you to remember, there was once a Lauren who loved you fiercely, who trembled when you proposed, who cried when we saved enough for our first house. That person is gone, but not because of you, because I let her die. I took a breath, then said, slow and sharp as a scalpel, I don't hate you, but I don't have anything left to love. Lauren smiled, a smile so sad it silenced the room. I know, but thank you for coming to hear me out. I waited 30 days just to look you in the eyes and not lie anymore. She stood, picked up her notebook. No plea for a hug, no tears, just a nod. Goodbye, Ethan. I watched her leave the cafe, not relieved, not regretful, just a strange feeling. I'd just buried a chapter of my life, and it didn't need a gravestone. Day 38 since Christmas Eve. I checked my P.O. box. Among the junk mail and bills was a thick envelope, no cinder, but the handwriting, slanted, delicate, was unmistakable. Lawrence. I didn't open it right away. Tucked it into my coat and brought it to my new apartment. A bare place with no dining table, just a stool and my laptop on a cardboard box. That night, I sat under a dim yellow light and opened it. Inside, a 10-page handwritten letter, both sides filled. A small silver USB drive. I read the letter first. Ethan, I know you expect nothing from me anymore. I'm not writing to pull you back or beg forgiveness. I'm writing to give you the truth I hid, not to deceive you, but because I never dared face it myself. She wrote about the miscarriage in our 3rd year, which we never properly talked about. She felt weak, and I chose silence over holding her tight. The quiet jealousy of friends with glamorous lives we couldn't match. The self-made pressure that I'd settled too soon, that I wasn't pushing harder, that I was holding her back without knowing it. I turned you into a mirror for my own discontent. I laughed at your kindness. I mocked the stability I used to cherish. Then she mentioned a coworker, Jason, who flirted with her via text. She flirted back, never crossed a physical line. No physical betrayal, but emotional betrayal. And I know that cuts deeper. I read each word, like slicing my skin with paper. Not out of anger, because it was so real it burned. And because I saw, I played a part in the collapse too. Lauren didn't make excuses, didn't spin tales, didn't justify. She just wrote. Wrote like someone finally brave enough to face the darkness they'd created. At the end, she mentioned the USB. It's my last 3 therapy sessions, with my therapist's permission. I'm not sending this for pity, but so you know, I'm not just talking. I'm trying to change, not to win you back, but so I don't hurt anyone else, including myself. I hesitated, then plugged the USB into my laptop. I only listened to the first session. Lauren's voice filled my tiny apartment. I thought I was strong, but I was just a coward hiding behind a sharp mask. I loved a good man and killed that love bit by bit, by despising his goodness. I stopped it, not because I couldn't handle it, because it was enough. I closed the laptop, folded the letter, tucked both into a box with our marriage certificate, wedding photos, and the old house key. Not a funeral, just an acknowledgement. We had something, and we lost it. Day 50 since Christmas Eve. I went back to the old house, not out of nostalgia, not to see Lauren, because a heavy snow was coming, and I needed winter gear left in the garage, my ski jacket, the gloves my mom gave me, and the green scarf Lauren knitted during our first year dating. I emailed her a heads up. She replied in 3 minutes. Come by. I'll be home, but won't bother you. I'll stay in the kitchen. When I arrived, the door was open. The house, familiar yet foreign. No Christmas tree, no twinkling lights, but still that faint lavender scent I used to find too strong. She kept her word. Sat in the kitchen, laptop open, paintbrush in hand, working on wooden pieces. She didn't look up, just said softly, go ahead. I went to the garage. Everything was neatly boxed, labeled clearly. Even things I'd forgotten. The scarf, the gloves, a small photo in my toolbox, me and my dad when I was 10. She hadn't kicked me out of the house like I'd feared. She'd folded me away, piece by piece, with care. On my way out, I hesitated, then stepped into the kitchen. Lauren still didn't look up. She was painting small wooden signs, carved with words. You are enough. Heal, don't hide. Let go to grow. I blurted, you selling these? She smiled faintly, eyes on her work. At the farmer's market every Saturday. Some buy, some laugh. I stood there, then asked, why this? She stopped painting, looked up, met my eyes for the first time in 50 days. Because I want to heal, not by apologizing, but by doing something real, kind, meaningful, even if it's just for a few strangers. I nodded. Not agreement, not emotion, just understanding. We talked for 15 minutes. About snow. About Lydia, the neighbor who gripes about trash cans. About the stray cat that naps on the windowsill. No mention of marriage. No, do you still love me? Just 2 strangers who used to be everything. Before I left, she said, I'm learning to live without you. It's not easy, but I'm not running anymore. I replied, voice low, me too. She smiled, a smile free of tears. That night, I went home, turned on the light, and set my old stuff on a shelf. I took out the green scarf, folded it, and placed it on a chair. I didn't throw it away. I didn't need to, because I'd left it behind, in memory, not my heart. Day 60. I woke up in my new apartment, morning lights slicing through thin curtains, warming the cold tile floor. I brewed black coffee, no sugar, like I did when I lived with Lauren. But now, I drank it not because I liked it, but because it was the last piece of an old life. I opened my laptop. One unread email. From Lauren. Subject, one last time, Ethan. My heart clenched. I opened it. Ethan, I promise this is the last time I'll reach out. Not to pull you back. Not to stir things up. Just to say goodbye, for real. I've stopped looking for you on social media. Stopped sitting outside Derek's hoping you'd open the door. I'm teaching my hands to let go every time they itch to text you. And today, I just want to say, thank you. Thank you for loving me. Honestly, gently, without conditions. Thank you for being patient with me, even when I didn't deserve it. Thank you for disappearing, so I could see what I destroyed. I touched the screen lightly. Part of me wanted to delete it. Another, weaker, part wanted to keep it forever. She continued. Ethan, I thought I was the one trapped. But I was the one tying someone else down all those years. And now I'm untying that knot. Not to bring you back, but so you can walk lighter. I know there might be another woman in your life someday. Someone who'll see your kindness from the start and protect it. I don't hope to be her anymore. But I hope, when she comes, you're free of any weight I left on your shoulders. My eyes stung. Not from pain. From a release so beautiful it outshone holding on. She ended. If you ever think of me, don't remember the woman who wished you'd crash. Remember the one who put her whole heart in your hands. Only, I didn't know how to hold it right. Goodbye, Lauren. I closed the laptop. Sat still for a long time. No words. No thoughts. Just a long exhale, like dropping a heavy suitcase after a grueling trip. That evening, I went out for the first time in weeks. A small bar, live jazz, dim lights. I sat at the counter, ordered a whiskey. A woman sat next to me. She smiled, asked, "Want to pick a song?" I shook my head. I'm only just starting to hear music again. She didn't pry, just smiled. I didn't fall for her. Didn't feel a spark. But I felt alive again, bit by bit. Day 90 since Christmas Eve. I woke at 6 a.m. No nightmares. No jolting awake. Just a normal morning. Hot coffee. An old song playing softly. A silence that no longer scared me. I looked out my window, snow nearly gone. An old woman walked her dog on the sidewalk. Early sunlight caught her silver hair, and my heart warmed quietly. I remembered it was Saturday. The bakery nearby was selling that cake again. The chocolate mousse with fresh strawberries I'd bought for Lauren. I walked there. Got in line. When my turn came, I smiled. One cake like the Christmas one. The kind you don't eat alone. The cashier grinned. Lots of folks buying those today. I brought it home. Set it on the kitchen table. Stared at it for a long time. Not to eat it, but to face the cake I'd left behind. And this time, to savor it, for me. I cut a small slice. Sat down. Ate slowly. The cake melted in my mouth. Sweet, soft, tasting like closure. I picked up my phone. Opened my messages. Clicked, Lauren, a name buried for weeks. I sent one line. Today, I ate that cake alone. And for the first time, it tasted good. Thanks for teaching me to value peace. Be well, Lauren. No emoji. No greeting, no sign-off. Just a real goodbye. Sent into the void, no reply needed. I didn't wait for her response. Didn't care if she read it. That afternoon, I went to the park. Sat on a familiar wooden bench. A gentle breeze. Clear skies. A young couple passed by, hand in hand, laughing. I watched them. No envy. No regret. Just a smile, because I'd had that once, and I didn't need to cling to it anymore. I don't hate Lauren. I don't love her either. But I'm grateful for her. Because she taught me how not to lose myself again. If someone new enters my life, I won't step back to make room. I'll stand tall, hold my ground, and if they truly love me, they'll stand beside me, not walk over me to move on. 90 days. From agony to calm. From choking rage to letting go. From a cold cake left on a counter to a warm slice eaten in morning light. I'm back. Not the old me. A version who knows. Who stays, who goes. Who's worth it, who's just a lesson. The end. Not painful. Not regretful. Just enough. Ethan. Still standing. Still breathing. Stronger than before.